Hey, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you, wherever you are in this world. Of course, chances are the majority of my viewers and the content I film, of course, comes from the most of you are from Canada and the US, specifically the United States, because there's about 28 billion of you. So there's just this very tiny fraction of you that's into my videos, and I thank you. And yes, in case you've already noticed, I'm gonna mention it because I just threw this shirt on because it's one of my favorite shirts. I look good in it, look professional, even though I have to iron it because usually when I finish a painting, I film it that right after I'm finished it. And as I wanted to, of course, record this because this is what I've been calling as I posted a couple of photos of it sort of in progress, or when I started it and gave a heads up of this is really an epic painting. And so the story is with this, as I mentioned in the last video, which of course, I never do a video of something I started or I'm working on. But again, this is such a large painting. I haven't done a painting this big in years. And you can see it's about 2 feet by 4 feet. And when I saw it on Marketplace, it was, listed as used, but it still had the clear plastic on it. But it was all the way in Ville Saint Laurent. So it took me, an hour to go to Courbevoie-sur-Metro. And I was lucky enough that the cute girl who brought it to me, university student or something. No, sorry, she's in her 30s. Anyway, but the peu importe, as we say, regardless, she brought me the painting to Courbevoie-sur-Metro, and great condition. I brought it all the way back here to Hochelaga because I was well aware that I paid only 30 bucks for this thing, and normally that would have been like 80 bucks in a store, like a art supply store. And I said, I gotta paint something epic, and there you go. I painted the famous 63 Plymouth Fury taxi, the one that, of course, many moons ago, I don't know, whatever, last winter to winter before, I don't remember, right here. There's the Meteor I just finished, right? And there's the 63 Fury that I made into a four-door taxi, which was originally just a two-door Johan model. Yeah, they all need cleaning. There's the Impala I did. And there's the photo that I got from the gentleman on the left here, Michel Barrette, who bought this car that was totaled in 1999 when Joe was driving it around as a taxi since 1963, by the way, no less. And he got hit by a truck in the Plateau sector near the end of '99. So so Michel Barrette, the famous actor comedian, bought this car and restored it, and it still exists. Hopefully, it's still in his possession. I'm going to offer this painting to him because it is a very epic painting, and therefore, since it is a large, detailed painting. And if he still has this car, which I assume he probably does, because as far as I heard many years ago, he sold it to the museum in Detroit, and then that said Chrysler Museum closed its doors, unfortunately, like a lot of car museums, because of the phones and the internet. And so, as far as I know, I think Michel still has it. So it would be an honor not only to sell him this painting, but also to I'd love to see this car again because I saw it restored 20 years ago at the car show here in Montreal, and he said it took him a parts car and 30 grand to restore this car. So if you didn't see the last video when I had this thing in progress, look, I even had a photo I took of Joe Vaillancourt, who bought this car new and basically was his mistress, changed the oil every week, washed the car every day. He even took the frickin' doors off every spring just to let all the humidity out, right? So the rocker panels wouldn't, rot out and everything in the floors. And here it is, a picture just below St. Catherine Street here. And I took a little ride with him in '98. So this photo is now available since I did use it for the painting. And I was glad to have, to blow this up this large. I think it's 18 by 24 actually. Maybe a bit bigger. But anyway, look at the old Pontiac Grand Prix in the back, eh? Anyway, so so this is for sale. I don't know. I think it's going to be like 50 bucks. Got to make some coin on that, And this is going to be several hundred. I don't even know. I mean, I was thinking, I'd like to get your feedback and get an idea what you guys think it's worth, because I'll be going to be posting this soon. This is the 23rd of August, 2025 today. And it was a good day to stay home. It's been clouded over like they said it would. And again, it's a pleasure to be an unusual automotive artist. And I'm not just going to say think outside the box, but basically paint cars nobody else would really. It's kind of like my friend Scott in Alberta. He's restoring certain cars people wouldn't restore them necessarily. And that's the passion. That's why we love cars. They're all different. But this car here should never even leave Canada. Shouldn't even live or leave Quebec, because It's the most important car that ever, one of the most important cars that ever existed in this province, let alone this city. Personally, the car I mentioned before over and over again, like a broken record. It's got accumulated 1,621,000 miles. And when Joe, yeah, what was I going to say is that when Michel, when he bought the car and had it restored, he left, as I saw, he left the, hi Gloria. He left the interior all original because he wanted people to see what a car looked like after having an estimated 800,000 people ride in it. Yeah, I should have turned the light on, but whatever, we're almost done this video, so there you go. It's not a very long video. Oh yeah, there was a couple of things I forgot to mention actually. See, I kept this from my father's Gazette newspaper in '91. I was only 15. I was about to turn 16 there on the 24th December. So anyway, but also I'm happy to have done all these little paintings for you guys, or the bigger ones, 18 by 24, 16 by 20, but the 9 by 12 ones, they took a lot out of me. I just, every time I'm doing all these minuscule details here, and all the time, leaning over to get paint, mixing paint, doing it all the time. So this was really a pleasure to do something actually large. I didn't feel like I was screwing up my neck or my eyes to make this happen. And the next painting I'm going to do is, of course, from one of my big fans, Evan Gould, out in St. James, New York. And yeah, it's going to be a classic Mack cab over fire truck. So in a weird color, actually. So, and yes, I noticed, and somebody else noticed too the other day, the funny thing about this car, the way I did it, is the angle. It looks like as if Joe is really stepping on it, like as if he's going to do it. He's doing a burnout, And I did the best, from memory. I said, I'm not going to go bananas here. I'm not a portrait artist anyway. So it's very, very hard to do portraits. And I'd have to go find a picture of him and and it's so small anyway. Like it's, as long as it's, just a man and he's old and he's got the guy was as old school as his car. He wore a dress shirt, in the summer with dress shirt, short sleeve, just like this, with a tie. Kind of harking back to a lot of professions where people wear a dress shirt and a tie. I always thought it was looked very, classy and respectful when police officers used to dress that way. Instead of now looking like they're freaking gonna ready to get ready for fucking combat. Excuse me, I can't say that without swearing because it really is ridiculous. Security guards going along with that too. That's the way it is today. It's just the whole stupid intimidation factor. Anyway. And speaking of which, before I leave, that's why I've always, like so many, have been in love with classic American cars, old American cars, because generally they were always, often for decades in the 50s and up, made to look mean looking. And that 63 Plymouth looked mean. And on the other end of the scale, if you bought a 63 Galaxy or a 63 Impala, which sold better than the Fury, they were, of course, good looking cars, great looking cars. But the Plymouths, as Chrysler, as they were designed all by Virgil Exner, these very unusual designs from 57 to 63, they were very noticeable. They're very Chrysler, very unique, and a lot of people went for that. They wanted something different. So that's about it, boys and girls. Oh, by the way, did you also notice that in the picture I took in '98, Joe put a replacement? There's the original hubcap, or for that year anyway, 62, 63 is those beautiful hubcaps. I think they're some of the most beautiful ever made. I think that's from a 64, but I'm not positive. Might even be 65. And of course, how could I not mention doing a painting of the Big O? I mean, really, I said, I'm going to do this, and I've got to do something epic Montreal to go in the background. And then it didn't take me long to think of this, especially since I've been recently, visiting that corner a lot where the Big O is, pretty much where I'm painting this, on the corner of Sherbrooke Street near Plymouth, because it's just a beautiful background. And I was there a few days ago. Woof, the amount of tourists that were there. Holy mackerel, tons of cyclists. And just no lack of action. My God, this summer we're like some European destinations. It's almost like over tourist, it seems. So yeah, that's it. Anyway, if Michel doesn't buy this, which of course I really hope he does, I want to give a big thanks again to Mike Raspberry, who came not last week, the week before, to pick up the shitmobile painting I did of his car, inadvertently, by the way. I just did it because I figured, I love that car, I love that show, and it's very Canadian, and somebody will buy it. I didn't think he was going to buy it. That's what's hilarious about it. And it got me to do a great video of his car, got tons of hits, great comments. And so it would be great if actually I could sell this to Michel. And if any of you, of course, you don't have to get in touch with him. Je vais le contacter, moi là, je vais le contacter. Of course, I hope he gets my message because I sent him a picture once of when I did that model I showed you, and he never replied. So I mean, he's an actor, comedian. The guy's, he's busy. So thanks again for watching, guys. Yeah, gonna be busy for a while, and there's some gentleman I got to contact in Jonquière, see if he's still interested in me. Maybe sometime next month to do a painting of his, what I thought was the coolest car I saw at the Granby International Show last year, which was his 58 black Mercury Colony Park wagon with the fake wood. Incredible. I asked him once, I said, between me and you, I said, how much do you think it costs you to restore this car? I was like 50, 60,000. He's like, I don't know. He says, I stopped counting. And by the way, that's one more thing I probably got to ask you. I've often been asked when it comes to doing paintings, how long does it take me to do these paintings? Like, it's hard for me to answer. I don't know, 20, 30 hours. I don't know. It took me 2 weeks exactly. That's what the funny thing is. Oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention. This is also thanks to my friend Ed. He had suggested I do a taxi from the 90s. I was thinking about doing one from, 80s, 70s, but he's like, yeah, but if you do one from the 90s, then you really show the age of the car that was still on the road, as I mentioned, up until 99. And when I remember in the mid or late 90s, these Luminas, even early 2000s, they were still on the road. They all, just like the Centuries and the 6000s, I don't know, GM had this huge defect with their stupid 14-inch wheels, and the hubcaps would never stay on because they're plastic. They're garbage. So that's how you saw a lot of these GM mid-size cars. All right, I think I've said enough. I'll leave you with some of the stuff here. Stuff I want to probably frame soon, some vintage ads here. I got this picture from 93 of Ozzy flying high as a kite, I guess. And a lot of stuff I want to frame there. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care, be well, and I'll see you on the next one. And eltonmcfall@hotmail.com, especially if you want this guy. I'll ship that by tube. Shipping by tube is $20 in North America, and yeah, like I said, $50 will do it Canadian, which is about about 40 US, so it's even cheaper for you. So for US would be 65, and in Canada would be, yeah, probably about 75, I guess. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Adios.